I will see you all later. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye, Christine. All right. Hi, Lynn. Thank you for joining. Today's topic is the University of Scouting, and more than happy to share everything I can with you. Um, since we only have one person on with yourself, we'll just go through this at any pace. Any questions you have, I'll be more than happy to answer. Okay. Um, so can you see my screen? Okay. So this is actually this is the way that we have it. Is basically a Word document, and again, I'll share this out at the end.
Mhm,
Also,
mhm,
um, for the Interfaith Worship Service, a quick background. I was in Woodbatch, and I attended a class for the Interfaith Worship,
mhm,
and we learned how to present this for our kids. And again, I'm looking at it from from my true perspective for the Scouts, and also from adult perspective. So I guess before I start, there is one quote I would like to read, which is down here, and it's a quote from Baden-Powell, Lord Baden-Powell, on an interfaith worship service in 1928. So quite a long time ago. For an open troop or for troops in camp, I think the interfaith worship service should be open to all denominations and carried on in such a manner as to not to offend anyone. There should not be any special form, but it should abound in the right spirit and should be conducted not from any ecclesiastical point of view, but from that of the boy. Everything likely to make an artificial atmosphere should be avoided. We do not want a kind of imposed church parade, but a voluntary uplifting of their hearts by the boys in thanksgiving for the joys of life, and a desire for their heart to seek inspiration and strength for greater love and service for others. An interfaith worship service should have as big as an effect on the boys as any service in their place of worship. If in conducting the interfaith worship service we remember that boys are not grown men, and if we go by the pace of the youngest and most uneducated of those present, boredom is not reverence, nor will it breed religion. To interest the boys, the interfaith worship service must be a cheery and varied function. Short hymns, 3 verses as a rule, never more than 4. Understandable prayers, a good address from a man who really understands boys. A homily, talk rather than address, which grips the boys and in which they may laugh or applaud as their spirit moves them, so that they take a real interest in what is said. If one cannot take their point to keen boys in 10 minutes, they ought to be shot. If they not got them keen, it would be better not to hold an interfaith worship service at all. So I really like this little saying because it gives you a framework of what we should do in an interfaith worship, and then make it interesting. Don't make it too complicated. Make it
mhm.
long enough but short enough. It even says 10 minutes. So it could be just anything that we can do from that perspective. So I'd like to go out to the top here, and just because I know that you are from the addressing from the Cub Scouts perspective,
Mhm.
we definitely don't want to be long. Uh, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at max. I think for the kids in your dens, in your packs, would be sufficient in my opinion. We don't want to be too.
Mhm.
This is boring or things of that nature. So we want to make it appropriate for the age of the scouts. So talk about these 3 words here: denominational, non-denominational, and interdenominational. Denominational means that it's inclusive of one religion, so it's of a specific religion.
Mhm.
Um, a non-denominational is also inclusive of that religion, but they are open. They are open to acceptable for other religions. And then what we want to focus on here is a interdenominational or non-sectarian, which means that it's encompass all religion, some sort of a universal theme, broad appeal, so you can address the your whole pack. Now, unless you know your packs or your troops, religious, service for that, unless you actually ask or you actually
Uh-huh.
know, then we would also always want to do interdenominational, not sectarian, open for everyone, because we might have some Christians, some Catholics, some Buddhists, some Muslims, some Islam. So we just need to be aware of our audience from that perspective. So from the scouting perspective, we want to promote interdenominational, so we can open up for everyone. You might also some troops and some packs might actually know this activity, and they call it to be a Scouts Own also. Our troop is actually calls it Scouts Own still, but again, it's we would like to move it forward and call it an Interfaith Worship Service. That'll be a little bit better. But a Scouts Own, again, from the pack and the Boy Scouts perspective, the Cub Scouts one is addressed a lot by the parents. The adult leaders will hold sessions, but then on the Boy Scout side, a lot of the scouts will hold the scouts on the interfaith worship. So you have to work with them to make it work. So I mentioned this before, getting the feedback of all the faiths in your troop or pack or crew, because again, we just want to be aware of what faiths are in the group that we are addressing. So again, if just being aware of it is good enough, and again, trying to make it a broad appeal to everyone would be the best. Just remember this word here: inclusive to all, exclusive to none. So we don't want to break up to exclude anyone from attending the interfaith worship. Okay. Just a couple of things here. There's two methods. I think I mentioned it already in terms of the interdenominational appeal, but you can actually have this in two different methods. If you know the whole pack troop crew is one religion per se, then you can have a Catholic prayers specifically to your audience.
Right.
For Muslim and Hindu and Jewish readings and meditation, you can have it very specific to that. But then the one that is preferred is to eliminate all specific references to a religion and make it open. References to Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, remove them and make it universal. A universal theme is preferred, especially if you don't know the audience that is in your pack and crew and troops. Thing that I want to point out here is in the Scout Law and Oath, we do have a reference to being reverence, and that's the 12th point of the Scout Law, and
Right.
also a duty to God in the Scout Oath. So again, now we'll try to figure out how to make it um, oh, customized for that purpose and help our scouts that way. Um,
Robertson, would you
yes.
mind if we kind of like I ask questions as we go
Yeah.
along?
Oh yeah. Please, please.
Yeah. So the what comes to mind is when I would most likely use this or have the opportunity to use interfaith or conduct an interfaith worship session is during a camping trip, right? Like a pack camping trip. And so if we're not making, are there certain readings or songs or that I guess it looks right there that you would suggest? The
Yes.
scouts. Okay, I'll let you get to that.
Yes, perfect. So the format of this, I guess, presentation or the thought that I had, I would go through a lot of the, I guess, be aware of things of that you should be aware of, and then we actually, if I did meet in person, we would actually have an exercise to create an interfaith worship service that you can utilize it. So I do have a little section on that. That's good. And again, please ask me any questions you have.
Thank you.
There's a couple more, I guess, logistical parts first. Especially on a camping trip, we want to find an appropriate location. So, for example, the campfire circle would be okay. You want it to be, but depending on how busy that location is, if it's free of trash or things of that nature, you can find another spot if they have it in the campsite. Move it aside. So a lot of the campgrounds that we have, sometimes they do have a chapel in the woods, so you can move them to that location. Lead them away from the where they were sleeping, where they were eating, and make it into a little bit more reverent location. Um, have you been to Camp Chesborough for camping for one of the scout camp packs?
Yes, Actually, for one of the leaders training.
Okay,
That
okay,
outdoor
good.
training for leaders. Yeah.
Okay, good. So, and then you know that there's a little chapel in the top of the mountain.
Actually, I
Oh,
don't
okay,
remember.
okay,
I
yeah.
don't remember it.
Okay, so yeah, at Camp Chesborough, you know, you have the different campsites, and then
Yes.
just a little bit off to the side, there's a little location where it's a chapel, and then it's far away enough from the highway that you know that it won't disturb anything, but you can't, you know, you won't be close to any campsites. So you know, and again, it's away from people walking back and forth. So you can try to find something like that when you're in camping.
Mhm.
The main thing for us as adult leaders is this one right here. We want to plan it, we want to time it, and we have to rehearse it. And again, I wrote here 15 to 20 minutes. 30 minutes is a long, but for packs, 10 minutes might be enough. Maybe one or two songs, and then one or two stories, and then that might be sufficient. And again, we want to teach to the youngest. So you know, in your pack, you will have from age 5 to 11, 5 to
Mhm.
10. So we want to teach to the bobcat, to the wolf, or the tigers, or even the lions,
Right.
if possible, to whoever's in the audience. Um, the I want to point out that everyone can participate. We can have some sort of a responsive reading, some sort of songs, some sort of silent prayer and a group prayer. And therefore, from an adult perspective, you can be leading it, but then you want to have somewhere to engage the scouts. You don't want it to be just someone talking all the time, but you want to have incorporate something where the scouts can actually participate in. Inspire the scouts, keep it simple, make it fun. No sermons, no just talking from the podium per se. And then in same thing as a campfire, we have peaks and valleys. So we want it. So the same thing for the interfaith worship. You want it to have some places you want to have high energy, and then when you know, and then you want it to be have low energy, so that everyone's reverent, everyone's thinking, and can be self thought from that perspective. But again, you want to have these peaks to make it happy. Last
Um,
thing. Oh
mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I hear the suggestion of making it fun, and I think that's appropriate for young kids. But should we also try to keep it solemn too, or what works best for young kids?
For young kids, I think it's keeping it fun, but you know, not running around per se, right? But they know a lot of songs, so you can have some songs that are reverent and also uplifting.
Right.
Uh, so definitely, and even for the adults, I think we would like it to be lively also. We don't want to be too solemn,
Mm-hmm.
but we want it to be self-reflecting for the audience. Okay. Last thing you can add is you can have a theme for each of your worship. Uh, if you have I don't know, for Cub Scouts, I don't think you guys have that many campouts, maybe 2 a year.
Right.
Um,
Usually too.
yeah, so perfect. So you can use a couple of these themes: peace, love, kindness, friendliness, and then especially if since you said that you learned about, oh no, yeah, so you know, basically a theme, you know, twice a year would be easy to program, to set your program regarding.
Mm-hmm.
For the Boy Scouts, they have a camp out almost every month. Well, not recently, but you know, camp out every month. So you know, finding the 12 themes would be, you know, a little bit more difficult. But again, a theme is always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here are the portions that makes an interfaith worship. You can have some sort of a call to worship to start it. The hymn and stories that we mentioned. Some sort of prayer. Responsive. Responsive is when someone reads a verse and then the audience respond back.
Mm-hmm.
You can also have a personal silent prayer and things of that nature. So the way I would like to focus next is I would like to focus on the worksheet. Here is an example of a planning worksheet that we just talked about. So here you have to be really creative for a 10-minute activity, and then you can decide these are just suggestions. So if you can see it, you can have flags. You can have a call worship song 1, song 2. There's in this one 3 songs, and you can have a prayer, responsive reading. And so from a planning perspective, you can decide, I would like to have these 4 elements, in my interfaith worship. And then, how do you want to plan it? This should go first, second, third type of thing. And then you can, as a cup master, this is perfect because you can assign this to your den leaders, or you can assign it to a parent, in the pack to help assign with this. Okay, so again, the for a pack for a 10-minute one, I think three leaders to help out, 3 or 4 leaders to help out, each one holding a song, or leading a song, or leading a prayer, or a story, would be sufficient, I would imagine. Okay. So I would like to go into an actual example, if that's okay.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. So this is, I'll do the present.
I'm really interested in the wood badge, but that could be another discussion.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Sounds good. So I was in the wood badge W35518 2 years ago, and again, I'll send this out also. But I'll share.
Thanks. I won't
I'll
take note.
share. Yeah. Everything I wrote, I'll have. I'll send out in an email. So I just want to share with you the example here of what happened with on how we prepared for our interfaith worship service during wood badge. And again, and then you can take portions of this and then apply it to, how to apply this to your pack. So we had 8 people plan the program for the wood badge, and we call ourselves the chaplain's 8. Okay, so for yours, that 8 might be 3 people. We had a total of 4 meetings to review how to plan this. And again, from the first meeting, we did that worksheet that I showed you. We want this element, this element, this element, this element, and we want it to be 25 to 30 minutes. And then we also found a theme that we discussed. So as homework, everyone that was assigned went off and find their ideas, the songs and stories that they want to lead, that they want to share with everyone. And again, we all vetted. I found this story. What do you think? Oh, that's great. Let's use it. I found this story. What do you think? It's too long. It's too short. And we eliminated it that way. We had a second meeting, and then we laid out the outline and the flow of the program. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 things that we want to do. And then we had a scribe that wrote down the notes and then put it into a pamphlet. So for this one, especially for Cub Scouts, if you want to make it memorable, I guess you can actually have a print out a pamphlet for them to hold and to use during the event, and to keep for a little keepsake if they want to. I think the Cub Scouts don't care, but maybe the parents and the adults would remember it a little bit better. And then last, we had a third meeting for last minute discussions and a review, and then we printed the pamphlets. And then the last thing, and this is the most important thing, is to have the rehearsal. And then that's where that we planned this event for 10 minutes, but guess what? With everything that we have, it becomes 20 minutes. So we want to, and then at that point, you need to know what you want to remove and to add. And then the last thing we did was we hosted the interfaith worship. So with this program, here's what we came up with. We came up with what was everyone's going to the ideas. The left side is exactly the things in that worksheet. We want a call to worship. We wanted a song 1. We wanted a song 2. And actually, I don't see a song 1, but basically we had a song 2 and a song 3. So we just moved things around as we needed to. And then guess what? None of us created our own hymns or our own prayers. But we looked on the internet and we found lots and lots and lots of ideas. And again, I'll show you the ideas page in a few minutes.
Great.
But again, we did this. We timed it. This was about 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. As you can see, none of these are taking up more than 3 minutes from the planning perspective. And it took 29 minutes, and we were pretty close. I think we were pretty close in when we did it. Um, so we also had an offering for Cub Scouts. I don't think you would need that, but we can introduce it if it's adults, some sort of offering. And again, it's not an offering to the pack or the troop, but an offering to like some friendship fund, the World Friendship Scout of Scouting, that type of thing that can be incorporated in there. So with that, I do want to share with you my the pamphlet that we created. And again, this is actually 8 pages. So for Cub Scouts, maybe a single sheet would be sufficient, or maybe a double-sided, or would be sufficient. But this is an 8.5 by 11, and then folded. So 8 sheets like this, like a little pamphlet.
Okay.
Okay. And we also have we have names of everyone that is going to be speaking. Shannon will do the call of worship. I did 2 songs actually. I think I had the easy one to lead a quick he's got the whole world in his hand, and a Kumbaya My Lord song. But then we also interspersed with it is a few readings, a few stories, and a few prayers. So everything, it's not easy to identify the peaks and valleys of how it goes, but this song here, he's got the whole world. That's a happy song,
Mm-hmm.
right? It makes everyone, it gets the energy up, it raises the energy, and it keeps everyone happy. It's a happy song. And then
Mhm.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, could you please explain again? I've heard of this idea of, when the idea of peaks and, rise moments, and what is the flow? What is the flow again? Remind me, please.
Actually, I don't know the exact flow. It's a gut feeling, but we want it to have so especially for the interfaith worship,
Mm-hmm.
we want it to start off in a solemn manner, so everyone knows that I mean, I don't want to say serious, but we want to be serious in the time to reflect on this event.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, we want to raise the energy level.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's where a good story or good song can raise the energy. And then right before, timing wise, right before the end, we want to bring it down again. We want to bring that energy down a little bit and make
You call
everyone
your valley, right?
the valley.
Okay.
And so and what I was saying was especially we use the 2 songs as the peaks and the valley, where the song 1 uh, raised everyone together, and then
Uh-huh.
the second song with Kumbaya My Lord, it brings everyone to peacefully together right before the benediction, which is that closing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, same thing with campfires. But campfires, you can bring it up and down as many times as you want. But then at the very end of the campfire, we usually have Scout Vespers, right? And then with Scout Vespers, then we bring down the energy, and then everyone, calm down. Just quick a couple examples. We won't read anything, but I'll share. Do you want me to share a story from one of these?
Sure.
Okay. Um, so again, we have a call to worship. We're gonna bring everyone together. Uh, Gratitude. Oh, so if you notice, our theme for this one was honoring's life journey. That was part of our theme for our root batch, which is prepare for adventure. Again, we use the honoring life's journey for the scouting experience. Um, so here we have, I'll read this story in case you haven't read it before. Uh, in junior high students in Chicago were studying the 7 wonders of the world. At the end of the lesson, the students were asked to list what they considered to be the 7 wonders of the world. Though there was some disagreement, the following received the most votes: India's Great Pyramids, the Taj Mahal in India, the Grand Canyon in Arizona, the Panama Canal, the Empire State Building, St. Peter's Basilica, and China's Great Wall. While gathering the votes, the teacher noted that one student, a quiet girl, hadn't turned in her paper yet. So she asked the girl if she was having trouble with her list. The quiet girl replied, yes, a little bit. I couldn't quite make up my mind because there were so many. The teacher said, well, tell us what you have, and maybe we can help. The girl hesitated, then read, I think those 7 wonders of the world are to touch, to taste, to see, to hear, to feel, to laugh, and to love. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. So here, this example here, and again, there's many stories, but I personally like this one
That's
because,
beautiful.
yeah, I really love it because it makes you realize, we're so materialistic. We think what are seven
Mhm,
wonders, but
mhm.
from a viewpoint of a girl, a little girl, she can name these things. Um,
Yeah, so you said there'll be a sort resource where I can find a lot of these ideas.
yes. So I have 2 more pages, and I'll show you.
Okay.
Okay, here's a good example of responsive reading. I mentioned that we don't want it to be a sermon, just a speaker. So for example, here's a leader at the front. He can say, this is going to be responsive reading. I read one phrase, you read the second phrase. A true and worthy person recognizes his obligation and does them without being watched or compelled. And you want to lead the scouts, maybe have spread out your leaders, and then they can say, and the scouts, if they have a printout, they can say, everyone reads, a scout is trustworthy, and
Mhm.
you would read the second line, the leader, and then everyone would read, a scout is loyal. So that this is an example of a responsive reading. Um, and then we also have, if you don't have, if no one, if the scouts don't know the words, you can have Kumbaya, my lord. You can have the whole word of the song in your brochure, in your pamphlet. Now I know, remember I mentioned we had 2 songs.
Mhm.
The first song was he's got the whole world in his hand. The reason why we didn't print it in the pamphlet was because in Wood Badge we actually had a songbook. So that was one of the songs in the songbook, whereas the Kumbaya, my lord wasn't in the songbook, and therefore we had to, we added it into the pamphlet. So this is about as I said, about a 30-minute from start to finish. So you'll have to have a planet for cups. I think they can do 15 maybe, but 10 to 15. If you have lions or tigers or wolves, then you definitely want to be on the 10-minute range, right? But
Mhm.
if you have primarily weeblos or bears,
Mhm.
then you can have the 15-minute range. Um, all right. So the next thing I want to share is I have a Dropbox that I'll put out, and all of this information is there. And one of the things I'll open it right now is a troop here that has a it takes this troop is not my troop, but again these are information on the web pages. Oh, hold on, it's taking a while to load.
That's okay.
Okay, but here I'll make it bigger. I think this troop did a good job of a repository of come on, I think it's doing something funny. All right, so here has a lot of examples. Uh, it has a lot of prayers,
Mhm.
worship services, morning services, vesper service. I don't know if it has any songs, but but you can see that here you can find a lot of short, simple prayers and hymns that can be used. Okay. I'll go back to my this first page here that I was sharing earlier, and here I loaded up a lot of invocations, and then that story that I just read is
Mhm.
actually in here also, and it is down here, but it's a different version. This version is actually pretty good in my opinion also. Um, where is it? Here we go.
I think yeah.
Yeah, the seven wonders, and then a little girl from a small village, and then comes to the classroom, and then academics wise, all the academic people would read off uh, the academic seven wonders.
Mhm.
And then from the girl from the village that just started school that day, she said she didn't know about the seven wonders, and so she read off our ability to hear, touch, and see. as her 7 wonders.
Yeah, this version is a little longer.
It's a little bit longer, so I think that's why we chose the other one. But this is actually a very good one also, because it puts things into perspective, where the teacher was teaching academics and then someone came in out of love. There's a bunch of the tiny frog stories. So I really like the stories. I personally like the songs and stories. But again, it's all the preference of the group and your audience. So here's a lot of repository, I guess, of stories you can use.
Do you recommend that most of these, like for the Cub Scout age, that the leaders or parents do the reading, or can you ask like an older scout to read, like a wee belows?
That's a great question. So on the Boy Scouts, do you have any? Your kids not in Boy Scouts, right?
My older son is a Boy Scout, but my younger one is he just entered wee belows.
Okay, perfect. So from a Boy Scout perspective, it's boy-led, and so they're doing majority of the things.
Right.
So from my perspective, and now that my son's 3rd year in Boy Scouts, and he was in Cub Scouts before, and I was a Cub Master, I think it's appropriate to have the older Weeblos lead this also. Honestly, I think that's it's a good opportunity. It's a great opportunity.
That's great, because we also at our pack we have the Weebles training camp, a camping trip where it's more for like just Weebles training. So that's great. Then we can have one of the scouts read.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in terms of planning, I'm sure they won't be interested in planning it.
Right.
So the adults can plan it, and then just say, look at these are the 5 elements. Weeblo, can you read this one? Can you lead this song? And then we'll help you. We'll stand next to you. That's what I usually did, right? For the Pledge of Allegiance or the flag ceremony, I would stand next to the scouts in case they get lost, or to guide them. But then they have a cheat sheet, and they would go for it. Go and lead the flag ceremony. But I would be next to them to help. So I think that this would be perfect. You get a den leader to help to work with one of the scouts, the Weeblos, and then they can do this. They can definitely do this.
Great.
Couple repository. So again, you can find there's actually a few troops and a few locations where there's a big book. I think, do I have it here? Let me share. Let me see if I have it. Oh, I think I made something funny on my screen. Let me shrink this down a little bit. No, it's not. Give me 1 second, okay?
Sure.
I think this one right here, the chaplain's resource book. I'll open it up. And you can and using this, and again for your side, this is way too much information in terms of how many pages is it? 27 pages of prayers and songs, and this you can see there's another wood badge activity. For yours, you just need to find 2 songs and maybe two stories, and then find one that you like, and then that's it. That's all. That's pretty much what you need to do. And again, this is way too much data. Where is the examples?
But this was used for the wood badge training.
Yes, this is definitely used for wood badge training. So again, for the adults, the example I gave you earlier for adults is very appropriate, because then the adults can sit there for 30 minutes or so, and they can go through. This is not the document I was looking for. But again, this is a good document in terms of the example. So yeah, I have the example you can use for this troop with lots of the worships you can use. And again, from a song perspective, I had a repository of that also. If I find it, I can send it over also. Let me see. I don't have much left.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I just want to show you that. Oh, why is it loading? Oh, so here's an example. This is the real PDF of our printout for the for our interfaith worship service. Again, one adult made this double-sided, and when you print it, then you can just 2 sheets of paper, fold it in half, and then distribute it to the adults. For your example, 1 sheet of paper, maybe 2 pages left, front and back, would be enough
Mm-hmm.
of the songs and then the of the of the prayers that you want to share with the scouts.
Great.
Yeah.
This is great. I learned a lot.
No problems. And again, I would use this as the guidelines. The easy example is look at this, check, 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 and then find an example for each one, and then assign it to specific leaders, and then have them work with the Weeblos ones or Weeblos ones and Arrow of Light candidates, and then help them, stand in front of the crowd, and then things of that nature. Oh, one thing I didn't mention is if you have a leader that can play guitar or play some music, when they walk into the chapel, you can play a song. So what we did was we had an MP3 player. Oh, did we have an MP3? I think we used an MP3 player of a song, and the speakers. And again, we had for one of the songs we had someone play guitar, just strumming the guitar, a little something extra. And then the same thing for when you have the closing.
Mhm.
Everyone, and again, this is where if the only place is the campfire location, then so be it. But if
Mhm.
you are able to lead them, get the 3 or 4 people that will be doing the interfaith worship service at location A. And everyone's in the campsite. It's Sunday. You walk everyone to location A, so everyone's kind of quiet already. Everyone
Yeah.
knows that something's going to happen with the interfaith worship. And once they reach there, you can have the song or the MP3, something smooth, something soothing when they walk in, and then have them sit down. And hopefully you can guide them first. We're going to have interfaith worship. Please be silent. Don't be running around. And
Mhm.
then when you get there, then they know that this is going to be, we're having an activity here. And then when they're done, then you can let them leave one at a time silently out of that chapel area.
Yeah.
Um, if you wanted to make it memorable, one thing that I thought was really nice was what did we give out? We gave out I don't remember what we gave out or handed to everyone at the very end, but like I think for the interfaith service I saw once, they gave out a little coin that has a fleur de lis, like an English coin,
Yeah.
and it has a fleur de lis on it, and then a little saying for everyone. You can give like a little. We did an acorn and a safety pins, and we hot glue it, and then can give.
Wow.
This represents. Uh, you know, you have to mention why what it represents, right? You guys are seedlings here. You can grow up to be a big giant, uh, uh, an oak. So from this little seedling, you can acorn
Beautiful.
seed. You can grow from there.
That's
So
beautiful.
so that could be another example.
So something you can give out at the end of the service.
Yeah, and it's yeah, and nothing, it doesn't have to be anything, but it
Yeah.
just had to be something memorable. So for example, I remember what was given out, which was the coin with the fleur de lis. And I
Mhm.
remember during one they had a little acorn
Mhm.
representing that, even though we were all adults,
Sure.
you guys are still growing. So this represents your growth, and you can be a big giant oak tree at the end.
That's
So
wonderful. I'd like
so,
lots of nice tips.
yeah. So yeah, so I think this is the starting point, and then again
Mhm.
finding the songs, and then the your help, the helpers and the songs, and then
Mhm.
the prayers, and again keep it to the lowest common denominator with the
Mhm.
tigers and the lions,
Okay. Yeah, and I
age of.
think Yeah, I'll go through the repository to look. I guess not it won't be a challenge, but to keep consistent with the idea of an interdenominational faith worship session is to look for songs that with no specific reference to a particular deity.
Yes, yes, and unless you know the audience that you are speaking with,
Mhm.
100%, right?
Mhm.
And again, even there's one thing I want to point out here. There's this YouTube video you can look at, and this
Mhm.
they do a very good job of what I just mentioned in terms of the logistical aspects of whatever I wrote here. You can watch this YouTube video to they'll go into detail of that also.
That's on page. What page is that one?
It's on page 1.
Okay.
You know, and you can take a look at that. But that will go through the key ideas of what you should be looking for from a non-denominational interdenominational non-sectarian philosophy. And again, I know some churches are charter troops and scouts,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't know if everyone going to that troop or pack uh, is from that church, and most of the time it's
Exactly.
not.
Yeah.
It's it's just friends of friends, or they know that
Mhm.
that troop is really good or the pack is really good, and they want to, or that's the closest one to them.
Right.
So there's lots of ideas or lots of reasons why they join a specific pack or troop, and unless you know their faith, then you want it to be open.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm
Okay.
That was great. I'm so glad. I'm just hoping that the COVID situation will resolve so that by summer we can have a camping trip and we can practice or execute some of these ideas that I'm learning. And yeah.
That sounds good. I look forward if you do create one, feel free to let me know also. I have your email, so I'll send
Okay.
you this information.
Thank you very much, Robertson.
No
Yeah.
problems.
So like I mentioned earlier, this is my third session. So I'm running into work today. I work in a lab, so I haven't had to go in on the weekend very much at all this whole year and a half that I've been at the company. But this weekend I do, just taking turns with my colleagues to check in on some lab work, and then run back, and then log into a 3 o'clock meeting with my den leaders.
It's a busy day.
Busy day, yeah.
It's a busy day. Tomorrow, I have 3 scouting events also. And unfortunately, it's is it one 2 is Zoom and then 1 is in person.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know if anyone has shared, but the Santa Clara, I guess, went from purple to red, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's from red to orange, right? So things are officially opening up,
Mm-hmm.
but I think even though it's allowed to, I think we should still be cognizant and be careful.
Right, really
Yeah,
small gatherings, social, right, with mask and everything.
exactly,
Yeah, so
exactly.
the Cub Scout pack, we're still doing pretty much everything just virtually, but the Boy Scouts, because it's just easier for them to earn their merit badges if they can meet sometimes in person. So my son, he meets alternating weekends with just a very small patrol, like 10 people or so, including leaders. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
have busy weekends too, huh? So right now, what is your role?
Oh, I am actually in the Polaris district.
Uh-huh.
So I actually I'm a ASM, Assistant Scoutmaster
Okay.
for Troop 452.
Okay. Where's
Yeah.
Polaris District?
So Polaris is Sunnyvale, Cupertino, and Saratoga, and
Oh,
a little. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know if West San Jose is part of that, but
yeah.
Sunnyvale it's like a little sliver.
Alrighty. Yeah.
Where are you? Where are you out of?
I'm in the Coyote Creek district.
Oh,
We live in South San Jose. Our troop, our pack, either meet at the community center for this Catholic church during, say, like the winter, fall, spring, and during the summer, we take the kids out to a park nearby. So they meet there during fair weather,
nice,
different locations, and usually every week. But now
nice.
most things, of course, are virtual.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's too bad I didn't have time to chat with you about Wood Badge. I mean, I've just looked into it, and from people that I've, through some of these meetings, I've talked to a couple of the ones moderating, and they really recommend it. And it sounds like if some of this was taken from the materials taken from that, I think it's so worth going to. But it's unfortunate that this year's is canceled.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's sad from that perspective,
Yeah.
you know. But hopefully, please definitely keep an eye on the next wood badge.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see you there.
Oh, that's
Uh,
great. Yeah.
you know,
Do you help lead those too?
I have not. I have not. But I do plan on volunteering if I can.
Okay. Wow, that's great.
So
And I think,
if
mhm.
yeah, so if you do one in the next one that's offered by Silicon Valley or Pacific Skyline, then I might see you there.
Okay, I hear that there won't be one probably until likely until fall of 21, right?
I don't think anything is planned right at this moment. I
Yeah.
think things are being planned, but we don't know if it will be executed. That's how I would phrase it. I think
Okay.
lots of things are being planned.
Yes.
We just don't know.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a lot of experience. How long you been in scouting?
So well, I haven't been that long. My son's this is his he joined as a wolf, I think.
Uh-huh.
So 3 years, 3 + 3, 6 years.
6 years. That's
6 years.
funny. Yeah.
But I was a Boy Scouts before,
Oh,
and I
okay.
went to life rank.
That's great. Well, thank
So
you so much, Robertson, for taking
no
time from your weekend to lead.
no problem. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for joining.
Yes, I learned a lot. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.